14 men vanished without a single trace. No bodies, no wreckage, no distress calls, no explanation. A moment ago, they were alive, breathing the cold sea air, talking to each other over the radio, doing their jobs. And then, as if the ocean itself reached up and swallowed them whole, they were gone. 5 military aircraft, 14 trained Navy pilots, dissolved into thin air over a stretch of water that has been terrifying the world for over 5 centuries. And here is the part that truly should unsettle you when the rescue team was sent to find them. The rescue team disappeared too. Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle, a place where the ocean swallows ships whole, where compasses go insane, where aircraft vanish mid flight, leaving not even a distress signal behind. A place that has taken over 1,000 lives across recorded history, and where more than 50 ships and 20 aircraft remain missing to this day, permanently unaccounted for. But here is the real question nobody asks loudly enough. Is the Bermuda Triangle a genuine supernatural phenomenon, or is it the greatest collective hallucination in modern history? Today we are going to answer that question. We are going to travel through centuries of disappearances, debunk myths, examine the real science, and by the end of this video you will never look at the ocean the same way again. The sun was still high in the sky. The weather was clear. Conditions were perfect. 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, America's finest naval aircraft of the era, lined up on the runway. 14 men climbed aboard. Their mission? A routine 3-hour training flight over the Atlantic. Simple. Textbook. Something these men had done dozens of times before. The mission was called Flight 19, and it would never return. Leading the mission was Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, a decorated war veteran with over 2,500 flight hours logged. This was not a rookie. This was not a careless man. This was an elite, battle-hardened pilot doing a job he had trained his whole career for. At 2:10 p.m., the 5 planes took off heading east over the ocean. For the first 2 hours, everything was perfectly normal. The engines were humming. The crew was relaxed. The sky was clear blue. Then at approximately 3:40 p.m., everything changed. Lieutenant Taylor's voice crackled over the radio with a message that would confuse and horrify investigators for decades. He reported that both of his compasses, the primary and the backup, had stopped working simultaneously. He had no idea where he was. Think about what that means. You are flying a military aircraft over the open ocean. There are no landmarks, no GPS, no road signs. Your compass is the only thing telling you which direction is home. And now it is dead. You are alone in the sky with nothing but water in every direction. Taylor radioed the base, trying to figure out his position. The radio transmissions that followed were chaotic, confused, and deeply disturbing to read. At 4:56 p.m., Taylor made a crucial decision. He believed mistakenly that they were flying over the Gulf of Mexico. He ordered all 5 aircraft to fly east to reach Florida. But here is the terrifying twist. Some of the other crew members believed they were already east of Florida and that they needed to fly west to get home. There was a direct life or death disagreement happening inside those cockpits at 30,000 feet as the sun was setting and fuel was running out. One of the crew members transmitted this over the radio. If we just fly west, we can get home. But Taylor overruled him, and the 5 planes flew east further and further out into the Atlantic darkness. The weather had turned violent. The sky was now black. Waves were crashing 40 feet high below them, and the fuel gauges were dropping towards zero. Lieutenant Taylor. After that silence, complete, total, permanent silence. All 5 aircraft and all 14 men were gone. The Navy scrambled a massive search and rescue operation. Among the aircraft deployed was a PBM Mariner flying boat with 13 more men on board sent specifically to look for Flight 19. It took off into the storm, and it too vanished, never heard from again. In total, 27 men and 6 aircraft disappeared in a matter of hours. One of the largest peacetime naval search operations in American history followed. They searched for days. They found nothing. Not a body, not a fuel slick, not a piece of wreckage larger than a coin. The US Navy's official investigation came to a haunting conclusion. They classified the cause as unknown. So, what exactly is the Bermuda Triangle? Let us set the stage properly, because the geography of this place is as remarkable as the legend surrounding it. The Bermuda Triangle is a roughly triangular region of the North Atlantic Ocean defined by 3 points: Miami, Florida on the west, San Juan, Puerto Rico to the south, and the island of Bermuda to the north. The total area enclosed, roughly 500,000 square miles, and expands bigger than the countries of Spain, France, and Germany combined. This is not some forgotten backwater. This is one of the most heavily trafficked stretches of ocean on the planet. Thousands of ships and aircraft pass through it every single week. Cruise ships, cargo freighters, military vessels, commercial flights from New York to the Caribbean, all of them at some point cross through this zone. And yet, for over 500 years, people have been reporting strange and terrifying things happening here. Compass malfunctions, sudden violent weather appearing from nowhere, ships found completely intact but with no crew, aircraft disappearing mid transmission with no distress call, no wreckage, no explanation. The legend of the Bermuda Triangle begins earlier than most people realize. Christopher Columbus was on his first voyage to the New World. His route took him directly through what we now call the Bermuda Triangle. In his ship's log, a document that still exists today, Columbus recorded something deeply unsettling. His compass had begun behaving erratically, giving readings that didn't match the position of the stars. The crew was terrified. A compass that lied meant death at sea. But then came something stranger. One night, Columbus was standing on the deck of the Santa Maria, staring up at the sky, when he saw it, a ball of fire, a glowing orb of light that streaked across the darkness and plunged into the ocean with a flash. Columbus wrote about it. He never explained it. And that strange light became the very first recorded mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Over the following centuries, this region was given a parade of terrifying names. Sailors called it the Graveyard of the Atlantic, the Sea of Doom, the Sargasso Graveyard. These were not dramatic exaggerations for tourist brochures. These were working sailors, hard-bitten men of the sea, warning each other about a patch of ocean that seemed to devour everything that entered it. The name Bermuda Triangle itself was first coined in 1964 in a magazine called Argosy by a writer named Vincent Gaddis. His article, The Deadly Bermuda Triangle, was the first time someone systematically gathered all the disappearances and presented them together as evidence of a single, unified, unexplainable mystery. The article was a cultural earthquake. Books followed, films followed, songs were written about it. The Bermuda Triangle became the most famous unsolved mystery in the world. Flight 19 is dramatic, but it is far from the most baffling disappearance in the Triangle's history. For sheer scale, for the mind-numbing impossibility of what happened, nothing tops the USS Cyclops. The USS Cyclops was not just any ship. She was a 5'4", 2-foot-long Navy collier, a fuel and cargo ship, one of the most powerful vessels in the entire United States Navy. She weighed over 19,000 tons when fully loaded. She was the largest ship in the Navy's inventory at the time. She had survived active duty during World War I, ferrying coal, troops, and supplies across the Atlantic. On March 4th, she departed Barbados carrying 306 people and 11,000 tons of manganese ore bound for Baltimore, Maryland. The weather was fine. No distress signal was ever sent. She simply stopped existing. No wreckage was ever found. No bodies, no lifeboats, nothing. President Woodrow Wilson himself said, "Only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship." Think about that for a moment. We are not talking about a small fishing boat. We are talking about a 542-foot warship longer than 1.5 football fields vanishing from the ocean without leaving a single piece of evidence behind. 306 human beings simply erased from existence. To this day, the USS Cyclops represents the single largest loss of life in US naval history, not directly related to combat. And we still have absolutely no idea what happened to her. Investigators over the decades have put forward theories: a rogue wave, structural failure due to the heavy ore cargo, a German submarine attack, though no German records of such an attack exist, an overloaded ship that capsized suddenly in open water. But here is what makes all those theories unsatisfying. The ocean is a vast crime scene. Even when ships sink catastrophically and suddenly something always washes up somewhere: life jackets, wooden planks, personal belongings, something. With the USS Cyclops, nothing. As if she was picked up and placed somewhere else entirely. Now, if the USS Cyclops is the most terrifying disappearance, then the Ellen Austen mystery is the most deeply psychologically unsettling. Because in this story, it was not one ship that disappeared, it was the same ship twice. The open Atlantic Ocean near the Bermuda Triangle. The Ellen Austen was a large British merchant vessel, 210 feet long, sailing from London to New York, one of the most common ocean routes of the era. Nothing unusual about the voyage, until the captain spotted something through his telescope that made his blood run cold. There was another ship, sailing in perfect condition, sails up, moving steadily through the water. Nothing wrong with the hull, nothing wrong with the rigging. The captain signaled, no response. He circled the ship, still no response. He waited 2 full days, watching, calling out. Absolute silence. Finally, he sent a crew of his own men aboard to investigate. What they found was one of the most chilling scenes in nautical history. The ship was completely intact. The cargo was untouched, all valuable items still aboard. The food was still on the tables. The personal belongings of the crew were in their bunks. Everything was exactly as it should be, except for one thing. There was not a single human being on the ship, not one. The crew had simply vanished. No sign of violence, no sign of panic, no lifeboats missing. It was as if every single person on that vessel had stood up at the same moment and walked off the edge of the earth. The captain of the Ellen Austen made a decision. He placed some of his own men aboard the mystery ship, gave them orders to sail alongside the Ellen Austen to the nearest port so the ship could be investigated properly. For 2 days, the two ships sailed side by side across the Atlantic. Then a storm hit. The ships were separated in the chaos of the waves. When the storm passed and the skies cleared, the captain scanned the horizon for his prize. He found it. The mystery ship was still there, still floating, still perfectly intact. He sailed toward it. and as he drew alongside, he felt a cold dread spread through his chest. The men he had placed aboard his own crew members were gone, just like the original crew, gone without a trace. The ship was, once again, completely empty. It is said that the captain, desperate and perhaps not entirely rational at this point, tried once more placing a third crew aboard the mystery vessel. Another storm, another separation, and when he found the ship again, you can probably guess what had happened. By the time the Ellen Austin reached port, her captain was a broken man. The owner of the ship, after hearing the story, was so terrified that he sold the vessel immediately, and the new owners renamed her, perhaps hoping a new name would wash away the curse. Now, I will be honest with you because that is what this channel is about. This story is so old, so passed through so many hands over 140 years that verifying every detail is impossible. It may be an urban legend that grew more dramatic with each retelling. But the kernel of mystery, at its heart, unexplained crew disappearances from intact ships, is a pattern that appears repeatedly in the Bermuda Triangle's history. The Ellen Austin and Flight 19 and USS Cyclops get most of the headlines, but the Triangle's record of disappearances is staggeringly long. Let me walk you through some of the other cases that rarely get discussed because when you see them all laid out together, something about the pattern becomes deeply unsettling. A British South American Airways airliner carrying 25 passengers and crew flying from the Azores to Bermuda. The last radio contact reported everything normal. The plane never arrived. No wreckage was ever found. The British Court of Inquiry stated, "It may truly be said that no more baffling problem has ever been presented for investigation." Another British airliner, just 1 year later, on almost the identical route, 20 passengers and crew disappeared in clear weather with no distress call. Never found, the airline immediately grounded its entire fleet for inspection. They found nothing wrong with any of the other aircraft. A commercial airliner with 32 people on board, 50 miles south of Florida. The pilot radioed the control tower, reported a smooth approach, clear skies, asked for landing instructions. The response was sent. The plane never landed. A luxury cabin cruiser just 1 mile off the coast of Miami. The owner called the Coast Guard to report a propeller issue non-emergency, no danger. The Coast Guard dispatched a cutter. It reached the reported location in less than 19 minutes. The witchcraft was gone. Not sunk, gone. The life preservers, which were federally required by law to be aboard, were never found. The safety flares were never found. The owner and his friend were never found. That last case is particularly maddening. 19 minutes in a calm sea, in a known location, 1 mile from shore, a boat and two men simply ceased to exist in 19 minutes. When you look at the full catalog, researchers have documented over 1,000 deaths and disappearances in the region over the past century alone. Picture emerges, not just ships sinking or planes crashing, which happens everywhere in the ocean, but the complete and total absence of evidence. No bodies, no wreckage, no explanations. As if the triangle does not just destroy things, it raises them. So, we have 5 centuries of documented strange events. We have hundreds of unsolved disappearances. We have governments and navies admitting they have no explanation. What do we do with all of this? Well, over the decades, humanity has come up with explanations. Some of them are insane. Some of them are genuinely fascinating. And one of them, I think, is the most important and the most uncomfortable. Theory 1. Aliens and the Atlantis connection. Let us get the wild ones out of the way first. There is a theory, and it has millions of believers worldwide, that beneath the Bermuda Triangle lies the ruins of Atlantis, the lost city described by Plato, and that the advanced technology left behind by this civilization is what disrupts compasses and causes disappearances. In 1968, a structure was discovered underwater near the Bahamas, a long flat stretch of limestone blocks that looked suspiciously like a road. Some people called it the Bimini Road. They said it was Atlantis. It was later confirmed by geologists to be a completely natural rock formation. But that did not stop the theory. It never does. The alien abduction theory holds that extraterrestrial craft use the triangle as some kind of underwater base, and that missing ships and aircraft have been physically transported off the planet. I will leave it at that. Theory 2: Magnetic anomalies and agonic lines. Now we start getting into territory that is actually scientifically interesting. The Earth has two north poles. There is the geographic North Pole, the fixed physical top of the planet, and then there is the magnetic North Pole, the point to which compasses actually point. These two poles are not in the same place, they are hundreds of kilometers apart. And this discrepancy, called magnetic declination, is something navigators have always had to account for. But here is where it gets interesting. There are certain lines on the Earth called agonic lines where the geographic and magnetic poles align perfectly, where a compass actually points true north, not magnetic north. If a navigator didn't know they were on an agonic line, their standard declination corrections would introduce errors into their calculations, sending them in the wrong direction without realizing it. For several centuries, one of the Earth's agonic lines has passed directly through the Bermuda Triangle. Christopher Columbus noted his compass behaving strangely in 1492. Lieutenant Taylor's compasses malfunctioned in 1945. Coincidence? Theory 3. The geography, shallow waters, and hidden shoals. Look at the Bermuda Triangle on a satellite map. What you will notice immediately is the color. The deep Atlantic around it is the deep indigo black of miles deep ocean, but inside and around the triangle, particularly around the Bahamas and the Caribbean islands, the water turns a brilliant, shallow turquoise. Some areas of this region are extraordinarily shallow, just a few feet deep, dotted with submerged rocks and sandbars called shoals that don't appear on older charts. In the age of sail, a ship that drifted off course into these shallow waters could run aground so suddenly and so violently that it would shatter before the crew had time to react. And in shallow water, currents and wave action can scatter debris for hundreds of miles or bury a wreck under sand in a matter of days, making it effectively impossible to find. Theory 4: Hurricanes, the triangle's natural weapon. The Bermuda Triangle sits at the crossroads of some of the most violent weather on Earth. Florida receives more hurricanes than any other U.S. state. Cuba, at the southern tip of the triangle, is battered by hurricanes almost every year. The warm Caribbean waters are literally the engine room of North Atlantic storm formation. Hurricanes that look like nothing on a weather map can develop from a tropical depression to a Category 3 storm in 24 hours. A ship caught in such a storm, especially in the era before radar and satellite, would have virtually no warning. And there is a particularly terrifying feature of this region: rogue waves. The confluence of the Gulf Stream, one of the most powerful ocean currents in the world, with the shallow shelf geography of the triangle, creates conditions perfect for generating rogue waves. Walls of water 30 meters high that appear from nowhere in otherwise calm seas. A rogue wave can sink even a modern supertanker in minutes, and it leaves no trace. Theory 5. Methane hydrates the ocean floor's secret weapon. This is perhaps the most scientifically credible and genuinely eerie explanation of all. Beneath the seafloor of the Bermuda Triangle region lie enormous deposits of methane hydrates, a strange substance where methane gas is locked inside a crystalline water ice structure. Under the right conditions of pressure and temperature, these deposits can suddenly and violently release massive amounts of methane gas in what scientists call a blowout, sometimes also called a mud volcano. Scientists at the University of Tasmania conducted laboratory experiments and found something extraordinary. When large amounts of methane bubbles are released into water, the water's density drops dramatically. A ship floating on normal seawater would suddenly find itself on water that can no longer support its weight. It would sink instantly with no warning, no capsizing, no time to send a distress signal, just gone. Even more alarmingly, if the methane gas reaches the surface and enters the air, it could potentially suffocate a crew or even reach an aircraft's engines and cause catastrophic failure. There is geological evidence of ancient blowouts on the seafloor of this region. Some of the craters they left behind are half a mile across. No specific disappearance has been directly proven to be caused by a methane blowout. But the mechanism is scientifically real. It has happened in this region, and it would leave exactly the kind of evidence free destruction we see in the Bermuda Triangle record. Now we come to the explanation that, in my view, is the most important and the most uncomfortable because it does not require aliens or methane or even bad weather. It requires only one thing: the way your brain works. Have you ever bought a new car and then suddenly started seeing that exact car model everywhere on the road? Before you bought it, you barely noticed it. After you bought it, it seemed like everyone had one. Did thousands of people simultaneously buy the same car as you? Of course not. The cars were always there. You just weren't paying attention to them before. This is called the Bader-Meinhof effect, also known as the frequency illusion. It is a well-documented cognitive bias where, once you become aware of something, your brain begins filtering for it constantly, making it seem far more common than it actually is. Apply this to the Bermuda Triangle. Ships and aircraft disappear in every ocean in every part of the world every year. In 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 vanished with 239 people aboard, not anywhere near the Bermuda Triangle, but in the Indian Ocean. Nobody said the Indian Ocean was cursed, but because the Bermuda Triangle legend had already been established in our collective consciousness as the place where things disappear, every disappearance in the region gets amplified and noted, while equally mysterious disappearances everywhere else get classified as tragic accidents and forgotten. Investigative journalist Lawrence David Couchet spent years systematically researching every disappearance attributed to the Bermuda Triangle. His 1975 book, The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved, went back to primary sources: insurance records, Coast Guard logs, weather data, Navy reports. His findings were devastating. He found that many of the disappearances attributed to the Bermuda Triangle had actually occurred outside the triangle. Others had occurred in storms that were actively happening at the time and were omitted from earlier accounts. Some incidents were wildly exaggerated. Others, like the Ellen Austin story, appeared to have been substantially fabricated or embellished by mystery writers. Couchet's conclusion was blunt: The Bermuda Triangle mystery was manufactured. It was not a genuine anomaly but a result of authors who did not do any original research, relied almost entirely on other Bermuda Triangle books, and seemed to have ignored all information that might suggest an ordinary explanation. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) has officially stated that there is no evidence that disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle occur more frequently than in any other heavily trafficked area of the ocean. The U.S. Coast Guard does not even recognize the Bermuda Triangle as a specially hazardous area. In 2013, the World Wildlife Fund conducted a comprehensive study of the world's most dangerous shipping waters. Their list of the 10 most dangerous bodies of water for shipping did not include the Bermuda Triangle. But, and this is important, acknowledging that the Bermuda Triangle myth was largely manufactured does not mean everything is explained. Some cases remain genuinely, stubbornly, maddeningly unresolved. The USS Cyclops is the clearest example. We have never found her, not a single piece. For a ship of that size, in a relatively small geographical area, in the modern age of sonar and satellite imagery, the total absence of any trace is genuinely difficult to explain. Flight 19's aircraft have also never been definitively located. Over the decades, several TBM Avenger aircraft have been found on the seafloor of Florida, but none have been confirmed as the actual Flight 19 planes. The ocean floor holds 5 aircraft and 14 men somewhere, and after 8 decades of searching, they have not been found. There is also the deep, persistent strangeness of Columbus's compass observations recorded in a contemporaneous ship's log, not a retelling, and the pattern of survivors describing a kind of electronic fog instruments going haywire simultaneously that appears across multiple independent accounts spanning different centuries. What I find most fascinating is this: the real explanation for the Bermuda Triangle, a combination of magnetic anomalies, brutal weather, shallow treacherous geography, potential methane events, heavy traffic volume, and our own psychological tendency to see patterns, is somehow more interesting than the alien theories, because it shows us how powerful the ocean truly is and how fragile we are when we venture into it. So, is the Bermuda Triangle real? The answer is, it depends on what you mean by real. If you mean a supernatural zone governed by alien technology or ancient Atlantean energy, no, the evidence does not support that, and it never did. If you mean a statistically more dangerous area of ocean than anywhere else, also no. NOAA and the US Coast Guard have been clear on that. But if you mean a region of ocean where a specific and unusual combination of factors, magnetic anomalies, shallow hidden geography, extreme weather frequency, massive human traffic, and possibly ancient methane fields create genuinely elevated risk in ways that are not yet fully mapped or understood, then yes, the Bermuda Triangle is very, very real. And perhaps most importantly, the ocean itself is real. It covers 71% of our planet. We have explored less than 20% of it, miles below the surface, where we have never sent a camera, where the pressure would crush a submarine like an aluminum can. There are creatures we have never seen, geological events we have never recorded, and perhaps the final resting places of ships and aircraft and hundreds of human beings whose families never got an answer. The next time you look at the ocean from a beach or an aeroplane window, remember you are looking at the world's greatest unexplored frontier. And somewhere out there, under all that darkness and pressure and cold, 14 men from Flight 19 are still waiting to be found. That is the real Bermuda Triangle. Not a monster, not a curse, just the ocean doing what it has always done, reminding us quietly and permanently that we are not in charge. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe. It helps more people find this content. Drop a comment. Do you believe the Bermuda Triangle is genuinely supernatural, or is it just our minds playing tricks? I read every single comment. I will see you in the next one.